The edge of the envelope. In the world of test pilots and prototype aircraft, as described in the book and the movie The Right Stuff by Tom Wolfe, they refer continually to what is called the envelope. This envelope consists of an upper and lower edge. The upper edge marks the height and speed that any previous aircraft or jet has flown up to the time of the most current test run. This upper edge of the envelope is the maximum height and speed deemed possible for a new aircraft before it theoretically comes apart in the air or malfunctions or self-destructs. Now, the goal of the test pilot is to expand the edge of the envelope. His job is to fly ever faster and higher in order to discover the outer limits of speed, height, and endurance that a particular aircraft is capable of achieving. The test pilot continually takes the aircraft higher and faster until he feels that the plane has reached its absolute outer limits. This is where and when he pulls back to avoid destroying the aircraft and even fatally crashing. This is called the outer edge of the envelope, and it then becomes the lower edge of the envelope for the next aircraft and the next round of testing. Every aircraft, no matter how well made, has an outer limit on its capabilities. It can fly only so fast and so high and no further. Very little can be done to expand the mechanical ability of something made of metal by the hands of man. Expand your envelope. The major difference between you and an aircraft is that there is no outer edge to your personal envelope. As Emerson said, the power which resides in man is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. Thomas Edison said, "If we all did the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves." Maxwell Maltz, the author of Psycho-Cybernetics, said, "Within you right now is the power to do things you never dreamed possible, and this power becomes available to you just as soon as you can change your beliefs." In other words, the outer limit of your envelope, or the outer limit of your potential, is not fixed in time or space, like that of an aircraft. Your limits are determined solely by your own beliefs and by your own confidence in what you think is possible for you. Self-confidence and self-esteem. Your self-confidence is closely connected to your self-esteem and to how much you like yourself. Dr. Nathaniel Branden calls self-esteem your reputation with yourself. It is how you feel about yourself and your abilities in relation to any situation that determines how much you like yourself and consider yourself to be a valuable and worthwhile person. The more you like yourself, the better you do. The flip side of self-esteem is what psychologists call self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is a measure of how effective and competent you feel you are to perform a particular task or to achieve your goals. This is called performance-based self-esteem. What this means is that if your self-confidence and your belief in yourself are determined by your self-esteem, or how much you like yourself, then your self-esteem is determined by how capable you feel you are in any given set of circumstances. For example, if a problem comes up at work or at home, and you are so familiar with it that you can solve it quickly and correctly, your self-efficacy and your self-esteem goes up. You feel more capable and confident and more willing to take on other challenges and difficulties. You feel more positive and optimistic. You feel like an excellent person. If, on the other hand, a problem or difficulty came up and you were unable to do anything to solve it, and you felt frustrated or ineffective, your self-esteem would suffer and your self-confidence would go down. You would feel negative about yourself and your abilities. You might even become angry or depressed. You would feel powerless rather than powerful. That's why they say, in playing poker, the winners laugh and tell jokes, while the losers say, "Shut up and deal." Build your own self-confidence. The law of cause and effect applies to everything you are today and to everything that you become. If the effect that you desire is high and unshakable levels of self-confidence, then it is necessary that you engage in the same behaviors practiced by others who enjoy high and unshakable levels of self-confidence and you will soon experience high levels of self-confidence yourself. Studies conducted on thousands of men and women who have moved from ordinary to extraordinary performance, and who have moved from feelings of inadequacy to feeling great about themselves, show that there is a direct cause-effect relationship between competence and mastery on the one hand and self-confidence on the other. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi of the University of Chicago wrote an excellent book, Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Performance, in 2008 on peak performance. Peak experience is a form of natural high that causes you to feel absolutely terrific about yourself and gives you a wonderful overall feeling of well-being and happiness. And the causes of this effect are now well known. Achieving peak performance. To attain this wonderful, healthy feeling of optimal performance, you need clear goals, challenging standards, regular feedback, total concentration, step-by-step success, and a feeling that you are expanding your capabilities to a new, higher level. When you have created a situation where you experience all of these, you sense that you are working at the outer edge of your own personal envelope. You feel that you are getting progressively better and better at something you are ideally suited to do, and that while you are still working within the range of your capabilities, you are stretching yourself at every moment. When you are caught up in this kind of experience, you often lose track of time. You become unaware of hunger, thirst, or fatigue. You feel calm and clear-headed and euphoric. Tests show that when you are in this state of flow, your brain releases endorphins, nature's happy drug, which causes you to feel happy and energized. Often when you are in this state, the rest of the world seems to slow down. You seem to function with extraordinary clarity. You seem capable of accomplishing great quantities of work in a shorter period of time, with great accuracy and few mistakes. You realize that if you could have this flow experience on a regular basis, you could do incredible things in your work and your life. Getting into the flow experience. Everyone has had this heightened experience at some time, usually when they have been under a tremendous amount of stress or pressure to get a lot done in a short period of time. But at the same time, they had clear goals and a strong belief that they were capable of meeting the challenge. At this point, they kicked into flow and felt as though they had taken off and left the ground. You have had this experience yourself in the past. Often, it was so extraordinary that you remembered it for many months or even years. And here's the point. Men and women who achieve extraordinary things in life are merely ordinary men and women who have learned how to put themselves into flow and to function at peak performance more often than the average person. And what someone else has done, you can do as well. In every study of success and self-confidence, in every situation where a person enjoys high levels of self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride, we find that they all have one thing in common. And that one thing is that each high-achieving man or woman is in the right place at the right time, doing exactly the work that he or she is uniquely qualified to do. Not only are these people the happiest and highest performing men and women in our society, but you personally will never be truly happy and truly satisfied until you take your rightful place among them. Find your true place. One of the greatest joys of human existence is to find your true place, the job or occupation that is ideally meant for you, and then to throw your whole heart into doing it and doing it well. The most fortunate people in our society are those who are so totally absorbed in their work that they don't know where their work ends and their play begins. If they could, many of them would do what they love for free, and many do. If they won $10 million in the lottery, this is what they would consciously choose to do for the rest of their lives, or until the money ran out. Spiritual teacher Emmett Fox referred to this as your heart's desire. He said that you are here on earth to do something special, something that perhaps only you can do, and that you will never be truly fulfilled until you find it and completely commit yourself to it. And the remarkable thing, said Fox, is that you almost always have an idea of what it is. You only need to listen to yourself and then trust the guidance you receive. Grandma Moses. When Grandma Moses, as she came to be called, was a young farm girl, she had a desire to paint. But her family and friends told her that that was nonsense. They told her that, as a farm girl, her role in life was to marry a farm boy and to have and raise farm kids. So she put her heart's desire aside and did what she thought she was supposed to do. She had children by the time she was out of her teens, and more children in her 20s. In her 40s, she became a grandmother, and in her 60s, a great-grandmother. When she turned 75, her husband was dead and her children were grown, and the doctor told her she was too old to work on the farm any longer. She felt that she didn't have much time left, so she decided to fulfill her heart's desire and to do some painting before she passed on. She went to a nearby town and visited an art store. The person in the art store sold her some paints and canvases and brushes and showed her how to use them. She went back to her farm and sat down and began painting what came to be called primitive American landscapes. Grandma Moses finished her first painting when she was 78. When she was 101 years old, a major gallery in New York held a showing of her works. In the last 10 years of her life, some of her paintings were selling for more than $100,000 each. Now here's the rub. She was told as a young girl that she couldn't paint because it cost too much and no one could afford it. Yet, when she began painting, she earned more in a year from her paintings than she and her husband had earned in an entire lifetime of hard work on the farm. She was not only a complete natural, she was also a totally original talent. It's been estimated that if she had begun painting in her late teens, as she really wanted to do, and her paintings had been as successful commercially as they still are today, she might have become one of the richest women in America. Follow your heart. The history of the human race is written in the life stories of men and women who followed their heart's desires and did what they were uniquely qualified to do and did it with all their heart. And no matter what your situation is, this possibility lies open to you right now. Colonel Harlan Sanders was 66 years old before he sold his first chicken based on his Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. He had been working as a cook and as the owner of his own small cafe all his life, preparing fried chicken with his recipe. Then, at the age of 66, when he started doing what he should have been doing decades before, he began building his franchise business and became one of the best known and wealthiest people in the world. A young man, 16 years old, one of my students, became so excited about his potential that he started his own food service business, made a success of it, and sold it out at a profit by the time he was 18 years old. His accomplishment and his confidence as a result were so impressive that when he went to work for a major grocery chain, they promoted him up the ladder so fast that before the end of his 18th year, he became the youngest full manager of a major grocery store in America, and he loves every minute of his work. Courage and confidence are essential. Countless men and women have written to me and returned to my seminars around the country and told me that summoning up the courage to do what they really wanted to do was the turning point in their lives. Some of them had dramatically increased their incomes 5 and 10 times, although many had not. In every case, they were working harder than ever before, but as a result, they were happier than they had ever been. Their postures are strong and straight. Their eyes shine, their voices are clear, their language is positive, and it's obvious that they're really enjoying their lives. They have a calm, quiet confidence in themselves that is unmistakable and makes them stand out from others around them. Your development of competence and mastery, and the self-confidence that goes with it, actually begin with self-analysis and self-awareness. Socrates said that the beginning of all wisdom and understanding is contained in the words, "Man, know thyself." And in analyzing yourself to determine what it is that would be ideal for you to do,
there are 6 approaches you can use. First, ask yourself these questions. 1. What talents, skills, and abilities do you have that seem to be natural to you? 2. What have you been able to do easily and well in the past that seems to be difficult for other people? 3. What subjects in school and what parts of your work have you naturally gravitated toward? 4. What did you most enjoy doing between the ages of 7 and 14? Ask your mother. This is often a predictor of what you should be doing as an adult. 5. What parts of your work do you love to do and seem to do well? And 6. What work or activities give you a natural high? They give you energy, fill you with enthusiasm, and you lose track of time when you are doing them. Every person is put on this earth with a unique combination of talents and inclinations that makes him or her different from anyone else who has ever lived. And it is only when you find the special situation that can most benefit from your unique capabilities that you will be able to make the greatest contribution and enjoy the greatest rewards, both tangible and intangible. Finding the right job for you and then becoming excellent at that job is one of the chief responsibilities of adult life. The 4 quadrants of work. An excellent exercise in self-discovery is for you to divide your work activities into 4 quadrants. This was first suggested by Viktor Frankl, the founder of logotherapy. The 4 quadrants are divided up by hard to learn versus what is easy to learn, and what is hard to do versus what is easy to do. Quadrant 1. In the first quadrant, you find those jobs and activities that are hard to learn and hard to do. These are probably areas for which you have no natural facility and from which you get very little pleasure, like a salesperson having to do detailed account reports or financial analysis, or a computer programmer expected to make sales calls or do public speaking. The individual and the occupation are not suited to each other. They are hard to learn and always hard to do. Quadrant 2. This quadrant contains things that are easy to learn but hard to do. Hard physical labor might fall into this category, like digging a ditch with a shovel. It's easy to learn, but it's always hard to do. Quadrant 3. This quadrant contains those jobs or activities that are hard to learn but easy to do. Driving a car or typing with a keyboard might fall into this category. They are difficult to learn at first, but once you have learned them, they're easy to do afterwards. Quadrant 4. This quadrant, in terms of what you should ideally be doing, is the most important. These are the jobs that are easy to do, and they were so easy to learn that you often forgot how you learned them at all. These are invariably the types of jobs or the kind of work at which you excel and which are almost effortless for you, although they may be difficult for others. This is or are the work or jobs that you should be doing with your life. Examine your work history. Look back over your life and ask yourself, what activities, behaviors, or decisions have been most responsible for my success in life to date? You'll probably find that less than 5% of the things that you have said or done have accounted for most of the success that you have enjoyed. You may find that it was your unique ability to solve a particular kind of problem or to take advantage of a particular type of opportunity. You may find that your special talent was an interpersonal skill that enabled you to influence and persuade other people at a particular time and place. You may find, upon analysis, that it was an ability to take charge and accept responsibility for accomplishing a particular goal. Whatever has been responsible for your successes in life to date may be a good indication of what you should be doing in the future. Design your ideal work life. Describe in detail the amount of money you would like to earn, the kind of work you would like to do, the size and character of the company you would like to work for, the type of people you would like to work with, the kind of customers that you would like to sell to, and the level of responsibility or position you would like to attain. As you think through the kind of job that would make you happy, you may find that it is a completely different field than the one you're in now. A woman who was working as an accounting clerk at a computer sales company in New Jersey noticed how much the salespeople were earning and decided that she wanted to get into telephone sales herself. When she applied for the job, she was told that the two occupations, selling and accounting, were totally different and that a person from accounting had very little probability of success in selling. But she kept asking for a chance to try selling, and finally, she was given a chance to replace a salesman who was on vacation. Today, the company sells more than $17 million per year in software and computer peripherals, largely over the phone. This woman is so good at selling that she accounts for more than 50% of the total revenues. She went from earning $2,500 per month to almost $500,000 per year. Best of all, she has never been happier in her whole life when she started doing something she cared about. This is just another way of saying that you don't really believe in your ability to do any better than you are doing right now. Fear will often appear as procrastination about writing down your goals in the first place. You will resolve to write out your goals and plans on the weekend, or on your vacation, or during the summertime, or when you can dedicate a few hours to it, or sometime in the indefinite future. Then, like 97% or more of adults, you'll never do it. You will start to rationalize and say, well, considering my situation, it probably wouldn't make any difference anyway. The comfort zone. If the greatest enemy of self-confidence is fear, then the greatest enemy of human achievement is the comfort zone. Psychologists have determined that each of us has a natural tendency to slip into a zone of performance and behavior where we feel comfortable, one that is easy and unchallenging, and then to stay there. We stop striving, we relax, and day by day we develop the habits that lead to underachievement and failure. We settle for far less than we're truly capable of. We engage in social networking, watch television, listen to music, socialize, and generally waste our time, and then we eventually convince ourselves that this is the very best that we can do. Most people are in comfort zones of their own making. Your attitude and personality, your habitual way of responding to people and to life is your comfort zone. The amount you earn, your standard of living, and your level of performance in your work is your comfort zone. Your level of mental and physical fitness is your comfort zone. Resistance to change. The natural tendency once a person gets into a comfort zone is to resist change of any kind, even beneficial change. And if you're forced out of your comfort zone, like the collapse of a relationship or the loss of a job, your natural tendency will be to attempt to recreate the same comfort zone with the same type of person or doing the same work. Everyone has had the experience of losing a job that they disliked, only to go out looking for a similar job doing the same work. We get into a relationship that doesn't work out, and our natural tendency is to try to form a new relationship with a similar type of person. We earn a certain amount of money, and rather than striving to increase our earning ability, we adjust our lifestyle and accommodate to our financial situation. The tragedy of the comfort zone is that it first of all starts off by being comfortable, but it leads rapidly to complacency. Complacency eventually leads to boredom, to the question, is this all there is? Instead of life being an exciting adventure, it becomes merely a boring repetition of what happened yesterday. Eventually, the comfort zone leads through complacency and boredom to frustration and unhappiness. Deep down inside, the average person knows that he or she is put on this earth with amazing capabilities. He or she knows that there is something better than this. As Carl Rogers, the psychologist, once wrote, "There is within every organism an inborn drive toward the complete fulfillment of its inherent possibilities. There is a nagging something inside that tells each person that there is far more that he or she could be and have and do. And this feeling is within you as well. The attainment of personal greatness. Great men and women are those who absolutely believe that they are put on this earth to do something wonderful with their lives. They have a vision of something greater or better than their current circumstances. Personal greatness means having a sense of destiny and a conviction that your thoughts and your imagination are the only real limits to your possibilities. William James said, "Compared to what we ought to be, we are only half awake. We are making use of only a small part of our physical and mental resources." Stating the thing broadly, the human individual thus lives far within his limits. He possesses powers of various sorts which he habitually fails to use. The founder of Success magazine, Orison Swett Marden, once wrote, "There are powers inside of you which, if you could discover and use, would make of you everything you ever dreamed or imagined you could become." In a 5-year study of leaders, reported on in his book, Leaders, Warren Bennis discovered that each of them consciously avoided the comfort zone by continuously setting higher goals. They never allowed themselves to become complacent. They lived their lives fully extended, always striving to be and do more. To develop unshakable self-confidence, you need to see yourself and think of yourself as a leader, and to do what leaders do. You need to stretch yourself toward the outermost boundaries of your potential. You need to set goals that draw out of you the very best that is in you. You need to work toward objectives that cause you to feel a sense of mastery and peak performance. And it all begins with a pad of paper, a pen, and you. Imagine no limitations. The starting point of setting goals is for you to throw off all mental limitations and let your mind roam freely across the entire universe of possibilities. Your primary job at the beginning is to allow yourself to dream big dreams and determine exactly what it is you want out of life in every area and in every dimension. Decide what's right before you decide what's possible. Imagine that you can be or have or do virtually anything that you really want to do as long as you know exactly what it is. First, make up a dream list. Temporarily imagine that you have no limitations of time or money or knowledge or contacts or experience or education. Imagine that anything that you can write down is possible for you. Remember, anything that you can clearly define and crystallize on paper is probably possible if you want it long enough and hard enough, and you're willing to make whatever efforts and sacrifices are necessary. There are no unrealistic goals, only unrealistic timelines. The very act of writing your goals down sets the whole universe to work in your favor and activates all the mental laws to help you. In fact, many people have had the experience of writing out a list of goals on New Year's Day, putting the list away and not referring to it again till the end of the year, and then finding that 80% of the goals have been achieved, sometimes in the most amazing ways. The very act of writing down big, challenging goals causes 3 things to happen. First, your self-concept improves and your self-confidence goes up immediately. The act of setting goals requires self-confidence and simultaneously builds self-confidence. Having the courage to write down what you really want improves your self-image and raises your self-esteem. The action itself generates a feeling of greater personal power and ability. Release your energy. Second, when you write down goals, you tap into your mental and emotional powers. Goal setting actually gives you a burst of physical and mental energy. Your heart rate and your respiratory rate speeds up. The very act of goal setting is inherently exciting. It sounds a little bit corny, but someone once said, "Feeling listless? Make a list." It's true. It's like stepping on the accelerator of your own mental and physical potential. And if you do it every day, the results can be amazing. Write it down. Third, commit it to paper. The very fact that you have committed a goal to paper dramatically increases the likelihood that you will achieve that goal. Your mind is structured in such a way that you cannot write down a goal clearly on paper, not on a computer screen, without simultaneously having the ability to somehow attain it. The most important question is, how badly do you want it? There are several mental exercises that you can use to set your goals. Number 1, imagine that you have just won $1 million cash and that you can do or have anything you want with the money. What would you do first? Where would you go? What changes would you make in your life? If you had complete financial freedom, what would you do differently from what you are doing now? Number 2, describe your ideal lifestyle. Imagine that you could live your ideal of the perfect life. What part of the country would you choose to live in? What kind of a company would you choose to work for or to start and run as your own? What kind of a home and car would you want? How would you like to spend your time and live your life? What kind of relationships would you want? Number 3, ask yourself what you would do if you learned today that you only had 6 months left to live. If you had no limitations, how would you spend your last 6 months on Earth? This is another way of asking, what is really important to you? Who would you want to spend time with? What would you want to accomplish? What would you like to leave behind? In other words, what do you truly value? What are the things that really give meaning and purpose to your life? Number 4, list all of the worries or problems in your life and write out a goal which is the perfect solution to each of those difficulties. If money is a concern for you, write out a goal that clearly defines how much you want to earn, how much you want to accumulate, and what you want to achieve financially over the next 3 to 5 years. Number 5, think about your family and your relationships. Describe the perfect situation between you and the important people in your life, and then make out a series of goals to achieve that ideal situation. Number 6, look at your health. Describe what perfect health and physical fitness means to you, and then make out a plan to achieve that level of fitness. Number 7, define the kind of person that you would most like to become, both personally and professionally. Then, work out a plan of personal and professional development that will enable you to learn and grow and become the kind of person you most admire and would most like to be. Remember, as Goethe said, before you can have something, you must first be something. Categorize your goals. Once you have written out your goals, divide them into the different areas of your life that are important. There are basically 6 divisions that most people use, but you can have more or fewer. Maximize your return on energy. Analyze your work based on the measure that I call return on energy. Leaders in every field deliberately apply their talents and energies where they can achieve their greatest return on the amount of energy, mental, emotional, and physical, that they invest in any endeavor. They refuse to take on jobs or work in areas where they cannot perform at exceptional levels. They treat themselves as valuable resources, and they spend their energies very carefully. One of the questions that you might continually ask yourself is this: is this the best possible use of my time and energy? Is what you are doing right now the most valuable thing that you could be doing, given your particular combination of talents and abilities? Often, answering this question will help you to see that there is a vast difference between what you are currently doing and what you should be doing if you want to be fulfilling more of your potential. Do what you love. Marcia Sinitar wrote a top-selling book a few years ago whose title says it all. Do what you love, the money will follow. Almost every really successful, happy man or woman will say that the reason for their success is that they are doing what they love to do. Whenever a person is unhappy for any reason, I always ask them how much they enjoy their work, and would they choose to do this type of work if there were other options open to them. Invariably, when someone is generally unhappy with their life, especially a man, they are dissatisfied with their work for some reason. Unfortunately, there's an old myth in our society that suggests that work is a penalty you pay during the day so that you can get your enjoyment from other things in the evenings and on the weekends. Many people view work as a punishment, but something that is unavoidable. They try to do it as well as they need to so they don't get fired, but they never really think about whether they enjoy it or not. However, this attitude is not for you. Your life is too precious and valuable to spend it doing something you don't enjoy. Every minute of it should be spent doing things that you love and care about and which make you happy. The wonderful thing is that the highest paid people in America and worldwide are often working at jobs that they enjoy so much that they hate to go home at night. And the lowest paid people are invariably found at jobs they dislike, where they are just going through the motions. 2 questions to test job suitability. Here are 2 simple tests to determine whether or not you are in the right job for you. Number 1, would you continue to work at that job if you won $1 million in the lottery tomorrow? If the first thing that you would do would be to quit your job if you had enough money, then this simply means that you are in the wrong position for you. Number 2, use what I call the clock test. People who are in the wrong job watch the clock all the time. They are very aware of what time they start and what time they quit. People who are in the right job are seldom aware of the clock, except to know how little time they have left to do the work they really enjoy. However you measure it, choosing the right work for you is central to you enjoying high feelings of self-esteem and self-confidence, not only in your work, but in every other part of your life. Commit to excellence. Once you have chosen your ideal job or occupation for this stage of your career, your biggest responsibility is to make the decision to become very good and then to become excellent at what you do. In a lengthy study on successful Americans, the Gallup organization discovered that expertise, or being recognized by your peers as one of the very best in your field, was one of the essential ingredients for success in American life. We said before that self-confidence comes from positive knowing rather than positive thinking. And it's only when you know that you are outstanding in your chosen field that you really feel terrific about yourself and that you enjoy high levels of self-confidence. Men and women who are good at what they do and who know that they are good at what they do are very different from those who are only average. They walk and talk and dress and behave differently. They have an attitude of assurance and certainty about themselves, which causes them to stand out in any group. They have a deep down sense of self-worth and self-confidence that is evident to everyone around them. Excellence is learnable. A man in his mid-20s came up to me at a seminar in Pittsburgh recently. He said that he had started in sales just over 4 years ago. When he began, he had no experience and knew nothing about either how to sell or anything about his product and how it could benefit his prospects. He told me that his basic sales training was provided to him by his manager in the form of my audio program, The Psychology of Selling. As he listened to this program, which taught him how to sell professionally step by step, he became excited about learning and about professional development. He listened to the audios over and over and then bought additional audio programs and began reading voraciously in the field of selling. He told me that in his first year in a very competitive market, he earned $22,000. But as he read and listened to audio programs and attended seminars, he got better and better. In his second year, he earned $48,000. He became totally committed to continuous learning, and in his third year, he earned $94,000. In his fourth year, he earned just over $175,000, selling the same products in the same competitive market to the same customers at the same prices and under the same economic conditions. And he had driven to the seminar in his new Mercedes. Not everyone can experience such extraordinary financial results, but the most important thing about this young salesman was that he exuded self-confidence and personal pride from every pore. He had a positive self-image and high self-esteem. He was admired and respected by the people around him, and he was held up as a model to others of what they might become if they just worked on themselves and on their jobs hard enough. This brings us to a very important mental principle called the law of accumulation. The application of this law is a fundamental reason for success in every field, including yours. This law says that every great life or great career is an accumulation of hundreds and perhaps thousands of efforts that nobody ever sees or appreciates. Great success is the result of countless hours, maybe even months and years of preparation and hard work toward the goal of becoming very good at what you are doing. This law of accumulation says that life is very much like a balance sheet, with both credits and debits. Every time you do something positive to enhance your abilities and to improve your life, you get a credit on the credit side of your ledger. Every time you waste your time or neglect to take advantage of an opportunity to learn and grow, you get a debit on the debit side of your ledger. Here's the key. Everything counts. Everything that you do or fail to do is written down and totaled up on your balance sheet. Everything that you do or fail to do counts in some way. Nothing is neutral. Everything is either moving you toward a better life or moving you away from it. Everything counts. A successful, happy, self-confident person is an individual who has consciously and deliberately built up a lot of credits on his or her balance sheet. An unhappy, negative, or insecure person is a person who has a lot of debits on his or her balance sheet. And since the only things that count are your actions, it seems that every positive and constructive action you engage in adds up and increases your levels of self-confidence and self-esteem. The law of incremental improvement. Perhaps the most important corollary of the law of accumulation is what is called the law of incremental improvement. This is really the law that explains how you move from wherever you are to the top of your field. This is the law that explains all great success in America or anywhere else in the world. This law simply states that a person becomes good at his or her chosen field by improving incrementally, continuously, over a long period of time. My friend Darren Hardy has written a book entitled The Compound Effect, in which he explains how it is that everything positive you do in your life compounds and multiplies, growing with force and power over the months and years. As Einstein said, compounding is the most powerful force in the universe. Pattern recognition. In a study on the subject of mastery, reported on in the magazine Psychology Today some years ago, the researchers concluded that mastery consisted of the ability to recognize a great variety of patterns in a given situation based on what they called a high level of integrative complexity. The first are financial and material goals, money and things. The second are family and personal goals, the things you want to have and the things that you want to do with your family and your friends. Number 3 are self-improvement and educational goals, the subjects that you want to learn and get better in. Number 4 are spiritual goals, which has to do with learning and growth and inner peace. Number 5 are health and fitness goals, which may have to do with your weight and your levels of energy. And number 6, social and community goals, the areas where you would like to contribute to your society in some way. To perform at your best, your life must be in balance. This means that you need to have goals in each area so that you are moving progressively forward on something that is important to you all the time. Organize your goals. The next step, once you have all your goals in writing, is to organize them in order of priority. Select the goals that are more important than others and put them at the top of each list. Then, select the goals that are second and third and fourth and so on. Finally, and perhaps the most important of all in goal setting, is for you to select the one goal out of all the goals that is more important than any other. This is the key to your success. The mental discipline to set your goals and to sort them out and to decide on your chief aim or your major definite purpose is the starting point of individual greatness. This major definite purpose is the one goal, the accomplishment of which will lead to the attainment of many of your other goals. This goal becomes the central focus for all of your other goals and activities. This goal is what enables you to bring all your mental resources to focus like a laser beam on one thing. Your forward progress on this one goal is what eventually generates the unshakable self-confidence that you desire. Focus and concentrate. This intense focus on one goal is not easy, but it is all important. Orson Swett Marden also wrote, "The giants of the race have been men and women of concentration who have struck sledgehammer blows in one place until they have accomplished their purpose. The successful men and women of today are those of one overmastering idea, one unwavering aim, men and women of single and intense purpose." Martin also said that every great man has become great, every successful man has succeeded in proportion as he has confined his powers to one particular channel. Single-minded concentration in the direction of your dreams will intensify your desires and increase your emotional drive towards your goal. This intensity of concentration will activate the law of attraction and begin to attract people and opportunities into your life to help you to achieve your goal. The more you think about your goal, the more it will come to dominate and direct your life. The more you think about it, the more rapidly you will move toward it, and it will move toward you. Make it measurable and time-bounded. Your major goal must be measurable. It's a basic rule that what gets measured gets done. Make it clear and quantitative and objective, and if necessary, break it down into smaller parts that you can work on one at a time. Your major goal must also be clearly time-bounded. Set a deadline on it. Select a realistic but challenging date for its completion and write it down. If it's a long-term goal, such as 2 or 3 years, break it down into smaller parts with minor goals or benchmarks every 30 to 60 days. Create a structure of rewards that you will give yourself upon the attainment of each part of your goal and on the attainment of your entire goal. For maximum motivation and high achievement, you need to tie each goal to a reward and each part of the goal to a smaller reward. Now, the reward may be dinner out, or a vacation, or a holiday. It may be a new car or a new home. It may be something that affects all the members of your family. Many people enlist the support and cooperation of their spouses and children by agreeing to rewards that everyone will get when the goal is attained. Rewards make the process more fun and interesting, and they act as an inner drive that propels you forward when the going gets rough. Make your plans. Once you've determined your major and minor goals, you construct your plans by making detailed lists of everything that you will have to do to achieve each goal, and then organizing the lists by time and priority. What will you do first? What will you do second? What is more important? And what is less important? Make each activity measurable and put a deadline on it. Select the very first thing that comes to your mind to do and get started. By setting goals, making plans, and getting started, you will join the top 3% of adults in the world today, and your success will be virtually guaranteed. A final point with regard to goals is this: keep your goals confidential. You build confidence and personal strength by keeping your goals inside of you and by channeling your efforts purposefully each hour and each day toward their attainment. Many people make the mistake of talking too much about their goals. Too much talking causes their energies to dissipate and their motivation to decline. It weakens their resolve. They lose the force and the power they would have had if they had kept their goals to themselves and instead concentrated on purposeful activities. As Henry Ford said, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. A simple technique. Let me now give you a simple technique that has transformed my life and the life of almost every person who has ever used it. It is simply this. Get yourself a spiral notebook, the kind used in school for taking notes. Begin each day by sitting down with this notebook and writing out your main goals in the present tense as though they were already a reality. Use strong, definite words like I earn, I achieve, or I am. You can write other things in this notebook if you like, but the most important action is that you take 5 minutes each day to write and rewrite your major goals without referring back to what you wrote yesterday. Handwriting your goals is called a psychoneuromotor activity. Each time you write out your goals, you drive them deeper into your subconscious mind. You increase the intensity of your desire and the depth of your belief. You activate the mental laws of concentration and attraction and correspondence. You focus your mental powers and increase your confidence that the goal is achievable. By rewriting your goals every day, they become clearer and stronger and take on a power of their own. This exercise impresses your goals so deeply into your subconscious mind that they will eventually lock on, and you will begin to move irresistibly and unstoppably toward their achievement. When this happens, your future will be guaranteed. As you develop this ability to set and achieve whatever it is you want in life, you'll develop the kind of confidence that comes from positive knowing rather than positive thinking. You will become unstoppable. Now here are some action exercises that you can use to put these ideas to work in your life. Number 1, decide exactly what you want in life. Set your goals as if you had no limitations, and whatever you wrote, you would achieve. Number 2, make a list of 10 goals that you would like to achieve in the next 12 months or so. Number 3, write your goals in the present positive personal tense. For example, you could write, I earn X number of dollars by this date. This is personal, positive, and in the present tense. Number 4, make a list of everything you will have to do to achieve your goal, and then organize the list by sequence and priority. This now becomes your plan. Number 5, review your list and ask, if I was guaranteed to achieve any one goal on my list within 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on my life? Number 6, take this number 1 goal, your major definite purpose, write it at the top of a new page in the present personal positive tense. Make a list of everything you could do to achieve this goal, organize it into a plan, and take action on your plan immediately. And number 7, do something every day, 7 days per week on your major goal. Resolve to persist on this goal until you succeed, no matter how hard it becomes or how much time it takes. This process of setting and achieving one big goal will build your self-confidence to the point where you will become unstoppable for the rest of your life.
Chapter 3, Achieving Competence and Personal Mastery. Vince Lombardi said, the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, no matter what their chosen field. You will only be happy, satisfied, and capable of enjoying high levels of self-confidence when you know that you are absolutely excellent at doing something that is important to yourself and others. What is it? What could it be? These are two of the great questions of life. Fortunately, you and every other person has the inborn ability to become excellent at what you do and to achieve peak performance in your life in your chosen field. You have the capacity to function in the exceptional range and to achieve mastery in any area that is important to you. The development of lasting self-confidence requires nothing less. Integrative complexity is defined as the ability to recognize patterns in a situation and to accurately predict what is likely to happen and the best action to take based on previous experiences with similar situations. For example, a salesperson would achieve a high level of confidence and capability in a sales situation by having both studied his or her profession and by having been in countless previous sales situations. He or she would have developed the ability to integrate his knowledge and experience and to recognize a particular pattern in the sales situation based on previous sales situations that were similar to this one. An excellent business person is one who has developed this same capability of recognizing a pattern when it occurs again, drawing upon previous experiences, and is therefore able to respond effectively and do and say the right things to complete the business transaction successfully or make the correct investment decision. The Grand Masters. The researchers found that a Grand Master in chess, for example, was able to recognize as many as 100,000 different patterns or layouts on the chessboard and had developed a strategy to deal with each one. A national chess champion was able to recognize perhaps 50,000 patterns. A tournament chess player was able to recognize perhaps 10,000 patterns on the chessboard, and so on. Their conclusion was that it takes several thousand hours of research and practice to achieve and perform at exceptional levels in any complex field or any difficult occupation or profession. Although there are prodigies, people who succeed in a short period of time, these are very rare. Malcolm Gladwell, in his best-selling book Outliers, quotes the extensive research that shows that it takes several years on average for a person to become excellent in his or her chosen field. According to Gladwell, mastery in any field requires 10,000 hours or 7 years of hard work, or both. Most people only become wealthy after the age of 40 or 50 if they achieve it at all. It takes them many years of hard work, continuous learning, and experience to develop an extensive enough repertoire of patterns so that they can recognize and take advantage of opportunities that appear to them. Up to that time, they make many mistakes. 2 steps forward and 1 step back, as they say. The foundation of self-confidence. The law of incremental improvement is your key to an unlimited future of success, prosperity, and self-confidence. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. All that matters is where you're going. As Theodore Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have, where you are. By applying the law of incremental improvement to yourself and your work, you can begin moving upward toward joining the great ones in your field. If you are doing what you love to do, and you are doing it with all your heart, by engaging in continuous personal and professional improvement, you can begin to move forward at such a rapid rate that it will astonish you. You've heard of the 80-20 rule, which says that 80% of the income goes to 20% of the people. Your goal, if you are not already there, should be to join the top 20% in your field. If you're in the top 20% already, your job is to get into the top 10%, and then the top 5%, and then the top 4%, and so on. Your goal should be to be the best. Your goal is to be recognized by those around you as outstanding in your field. Your goal must be to pay any price, overcome any obstacle, and make any effort necessary to become excellent in your chosen career. And in just a moment, I'll show you how. Moving to the top. There is one small problem that you need to deal with before you become one of the best in your field. Earlier in this book, I said that most of us grow up with feelings of inferiority and inadequacy. Because of low self-esteem and selling ourselves short, many of us never even think about becoming excellent at our work. It never even occurs to us that we have the ability to learn anything we need to learn to be able to do an outstanding job at anything we put our minds to. The fact is that
Generally speaking, you have the capability to excel at anything that is really important to you. If anyone else has achieved a high level of competence in your field, then so can you. All you have to do is do the same things over and over until sooner or later you get the same results that they have. This is the law of cause and effect in action. When you practice this law in conjunction with the law of incremental improvement, you can move from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. Identify your key skills. Just as choosing the right work or career for you requires self-analysis and self-awareness, moving to the top of your field requires that you take your existing position and you break it down into what we call its key result areas, or its core competencies. In every job, and in every company for that matter, there are a few key skills, seldom more than 5 to 7, that determine the success or failure of the person in that job. Wherever an individual is having trouble in his or her career, it is usually because he or she is weak in one or more of these KRAs, or core skills. Wherever a person is successful, it turns out that they are strong in all of the key skills necessary for success in that job.